Is off to a wonderful start. Ibaka's got 8. Last night he was 4 of 11 with 10, but scoring tonight very well early. As
commercial that we saw nationwide for the Clippers that played the other day, and that his foot push is just all over this team and this franchise.
That it's not a knee, and that it wasn't a high ankle sprain. It's my guess is he'll be able to play through it.
In and out and in. Trying to get an explanation of what he did on some particular foul. Here they go, third straight possession. Paul makes them pay.
And they're going to go to it. A team still in the NBA.
Redick down low to Griffin.
Open shot.
And that's a basket.
Here comes DJ.
Got the pick. Cleared him. Absolutely freedom for the
Chris
shot.
Looks sharp. And Chris
by Griffin to Paul. And there's the push up court. That's the pace at which Doc wants to play, and that's the result.
I think they should play that way.
5 seconds left in the half. Paul. 5 quick points for Chris Paul.
Is exceptionally talented, and I like how, as Paul knocks it in, Austin.
I don't know what's worse, the tongue or the blowing in the ear.
I'm going to say the tongue.
Well, if it made
the perimeter size of the Clippers right now, it's completely different.
Nice move by Chris Paul. He's starting to heat up, but probably
P3 says we can't run. We aren't getting enough steals. Beautiful chance for freedom.
Look what happens. They create a turnover. They get after a team on the other end. Can chance opportunity.
Chris Paul hits 2 in a row.
So you got Chris playing flawlessly, Blake and Redick playing flawlessly, and you're behind because you can't slow down what's going on.
Lillard for 3 more. Bingo!
Only
Blake Griffin takes down Steve Blake.
I mean, the Clippers can't shoot it any.
Chris Paul, All-NBA first team each of his 3 years with the Clippers. Fires the jump shot and hits it.
Play.
Ball around the screen.
Got him.
Finally open, fires and ties.
He kind of froze Lopez.
Team we expected to see from day one surfaces here in the middle of game number 6.
Look at the burst of speed by Chris Paul.
Clippers up by 9, 1 under 2. They've not shot well this year. They're 43%.
They are
31% from 3.
CP at his best. They are bottom third of the league. But it's my turn to feed.
Yeah, about 3 o'clock in the morning. Chris Paul open to the foul line.
Beautiful cut.
Gordon backs up. He's got the big man on him. In Duncan's face.
That's an all-star going.
Clippers by 3. Griffin out to Paul. To the elbow. He's so good, that mid-range. And you just can't play a backup point guard like that.
No, and
Chris Paul.
You can't pay 4 guys that much money.
Paul. Well, that's a nice off to the Clippers.
And DJ probably another block on that play.
Open 3 ball for Paul. Bingo! His third of the quarter. The Clippers. They put all sorts of different people trying to guard him. None have done the job.
Goes to pick and roll to get something going to the hoop. Better idea.
Yeah, certainly mid-range rather than
a 20. This is when they're really good. Quick push right into pick and roll. Great things happen.
As easy a shot as he can ever have.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost didn't look like it was going to happen. It looked like he was going to be a guy who hung around because of his defense.
Paul.
This is a little bit what CP did in the third quarter to Phoenix.
CP3 pushes the ball ahead.
And Chris telling Blake, run with me because here I go.
It's like a layup to Chris Paul.
So you can tell.
Helping Chelsea with young knocks. Ball right of the foul circle. Jump shot, basket.
Great patience. And opportunities around the rim. He needs to see something go in the hole.
Ball from the elbow.
Yeah, and Chris only 6 points in the first half, but you just
the attack, 6-point Clipper cushion. Not near enough. Ball over Harris.
CP inside. It led Vucevic right to a spin and a goal.
Ball weaves his way to the line.
Look at CP. I mean, look at that shot just tickle the twine. I mean, he's...
Rebound by Blake Griffin. Paul. There's such amazing control of his dribble.
He's too good tonight. I would not be surprised if Chris takes it himself or kicks to Crawford.
He'll fire the jump shot and make the basket. What a period.
In his shooting touch, Mario Chalmers off the bench has been one of those guys for Eric Spoelstra as Chris Paul continues with his hot.
Miami has their first turnover in this third quarter. Chris Paul right in front.
He's good.
Yeah, he is good, isn't he?
He is good.
Well said, Reg. 8 of 11. He's at 3.
Chris Paul. What free throws do for you? Yep. This is only the third time the Clippers have trailed at halftime. They're 1-1. And Chris Paul
from the front. When they are trailing, they struggle somewhat to get themselves back in the game. Chris Paul he is taking over.
Paul posted up on Kemba Walker. Biombo comes to help, but there's no help for that.
That's good D by Kemba. You force him to take a tough fadeaway on the baseline, and he gets the shooter's roll.
Blake Griffin to contend. Here's Paul on that wing. It's all cleared out for him. Doesn't need it.
The Clippers, they were.
No. Hornets beat the Clippers here last year by 4. Here's Chris Paul. They're showing it again in-house. Here comes Paul. He'll quiet the crowd and put the Clippers right back out in front here. Chris Paul comes back. Nice screen by Jordan. Paul open for the jumper.
Yeah, Chris Paul set it up nicely.
Here's Paul from the elbow.
Wow.
Chris Paul with 14 points.
The Pistons lead it. Chris Paul has it for the Clippers. Breaking no on him on a switch. Jumper over him down.
And that's all. Hey, listen, you can't do anything about that.
Chris Paul posting DJ Augustine. Turns and fires. Fills it. What a touch. Shot clock at 6. About 6 seconds different shot clock to game clock. Paul finds a shot, fires, and fills it.
So is he. That's a big boost for his confidence to see that ball go in.
Absolutely.
Really helps. Now Chris Paul will shoot it because nobody was around him.
He said, all right, I'll take a shot. So smooth.
The Clippers use that pick and roll a lot, and they're the third best.
Try and go one-on-one. Now he backs it out and passes out of it. Chris Paul just keeping the dribble alive.
We were letting Blake just catch it where he wanted to, not making him work for his shots. And obviously, you got to have some help from your team and not wait a second.
More than that on the defensive end for Enes Kanter. Chris Paul, meantime, comes off the screen, but this has a nice look. But again, we're getting
some of that in his announcer's voice.
Yes.
You've been auditioning for your job since he got here.
Chris Paul. He actually told me he wants to do play-by-play.
3:38 remaining in the first period of play. Paul will rise, fire, and score. I mean,
shooting so well.
They keep trying to get. Probably just not a rebounder in there. The Clippers have kind of solved their rebounding problem. Your all-stars are diving on the floor. You got something good going. Paul, they're left of the circle, able to knock it in.
Anderson for a 3. In and out.
Final shot. What a quarter by the Clippers.
Clippers shooting 63% from the field.
Here come the Clippers. This is where Chris shines at the end of quarters. Absolutely. Get him on the. He's #1 in the league from that range. 12 to 18 feet. Nobody shoots it better than Chris Paul this season.
Especially to the right of the key. So 4.5 to go. We're in quarter number 2. Clippers trying for their 8th straight win. Ball from his spot.
That's the shot that Chris would not shoot.
Frees himself with a shot.
That was too easy.
1:03 to go in the game. Chris Paul always in the middle of everything at this point of every game.
Yeah, and 20 points, 10 assists, 5 rebounds in the ball game.
Redick is just like Kyle Korver, who the Pacers just played against Atlanta, so you got to be aware of him.
J.J. Redick
has now hit a three-point shot in 27 consecutive games. 9-8 Clippers early. They come in averaging 107 per game. That is third in the league, and another basket.
And 50, 40, 90, which Larry Bird has done, is really the standard. 50% from the field, 40% from the three-point line, 90% from the foul line. Pick and roll with David West. And if he comes off that screen, if David is open and the guys are open in the corner, you got to give it to him.
And Chris Paul, another jump shot, and Frank Vogel has to call it.
Sayers is the guy that had the quick early shot, and he'll learn. He's got to take that one.
And Paul
you
hits
can't
it.
foul him on that. You cleared a little space for us.
You know, in the old days, I would have gone to the pass.
I know.
Not anymore.
I understand. No, I get it.
CP3 back in. Takes the jumper and hits. That's his first field goal of the game. He's 1 for 5. Griffin down court. Wizards get back, but Barnes is there for an easy 2. Oh, good. Gortat trying to keep it alive. He can't. Good box out by Griffin and Chris Paul. Ball around the screen from Griffin. Left wide open, and he buries it.
Griffin explosive. Jabari Parker can be. We've seen a little bit of explosiveness from him, obviously. Here's Chris Paul. But the Clippers won't go away. You know that.
No. They're going to mount this run right now. And I'll tell you what, he has not looked for his shot much tonight.
Well, when you hold Jamal Crawford to 4, Paul to 4, and Jordan to 4, and Griffin to 9,
and less in the paint, and 5 fast break shots. That's what counts. Making your shots.
biggest lead of the night for Milwaukee was 12. Paul. The Bucks bench has scored 19 of Milwaukee's 25 fourth-quarter points.
Readers got that basket, Jim. Readers, even though that's 2 times now in this period.
CP3 dances to the baseline, knocks down the jump shot.
This is what he did to him last time in the third quarter.
He made all 5 of his shots that period.
Hope has struggled. Jennings has struggled.
Baseline runner.
And Chris coming alive here in the third.
DJ the rebound. Paul to the elbow.
They're moving now. That timeout was timely by Doc. A double pick and roll with Davis and Griffin. And they just enveloped Donald Sloan.
Paul.
I mean, there's just no.
Puts it across for the second to spare. Paul through the paint. Rising.
He was taking that himself no matter what. Do you see how open Blake?
And they leave it wide open for some reason. They not send a 17-footer.
And send this in the open. Here's why Chris Paul some crazy moments. This is kind of a good one. Challenges DeAndre Jordan and just use that little spin off there. You know, the threes making the threes.
Back in. Nuggets lead.
Robinson has come into this game and is electrified, and we said a while ago it's been a while and they've been waiting, and Nate provided.
All in deep, and he scores. And asking for a foul. Once that shot goes up, you got to ride him out. Chris Paul shaking and baking. That's good. You're going to get that, and Paul ends up with no.
Look this out there, and Tony. Moving exceptionally well. Like to see that. The rest has done a lot of good.
Chris Paul answers him.
So you come through with a great save, and again, we try to do too much with it.
Chris Paul answers the other way.
Just makes an easy pass.
Against the Spurs in San Antonio. And they got drilled 125 to 118. Most points they've given up in a game this year. Chris Paul softly in the net with the game's
release, makes the catch, and it's gone. And picks up the 2-pointer.
He was trying to get both feet from behind that 3-point line. Contested twos.
This is a Golden State team that shoots 48%. Chris Paul again.
What about it? Paul around the screen, fires the jumper, nothing but the bottom of the net.
I get the impression that
J.J. Redick all the way to the hole, the kick out to Paul. The screen from Jordan, mid-range jumper is perfect.
That's got to feel good to Chris.
Paul Around the screen, fires the mid-range jumper.
That's like super easy, isn't it?
Game without scoring. Ball against Burke. He's got that mid-range jumper. Chased down by Chris Paul. New clock for the Clippers. Paul to the baseline. That's a gimme.
Yeah, TP taking over. He's been automatic from that mid-range. He doesn't have an offensive game, but
when he makes a basket, it'll be the first Noel.
That's right.
Paul lets it fly and knocks it down. Shot clock's down to 5. Against Noel. Go to the hole, put it up, put it in, go to the line. It's a turnover. Paul again is against Noel. Steps back, shoots over the kid, and he flushes.
Play with such great freedom.
Sampson counters. Lead is 9. Griffin thinking about it.
Mike hasn't had a lot of looks. I think they do really well. They cut back door, and all 5 guys can pass. Like their 2 bigs are very good passers.
Redick against Corbu. The Oregon Ducks and Heisman Trophy winner Marcus Mariota. It's all on Fox Sports Live. Right after the game, only on Fox Sports 1.
Himself, Chris actually told him to do so.
Was back to CP3. 3 at the elbow.
See, there's mismatches all.
Griffin back to Paul.
Where the Clipper ball is moved, and their attack looks really good. Now the Laker defense is not. Great call. The way Doc celebrated it worked out just like he designed it. Now don't relax here.
4 seconds to go. Here comes Ron.
Blake defended Dirk there.
Well, they've been perfect so far in the first 2 minutes of the second half. Still perfect.
What is that, 19-3?
The Heat don't look like the Heat. Paul on the run. Kind of made it up on the fly. Came up several years in the D-League and earned her stripes.
I did not get a chance to talk to her, so I don't know her background. I know Violet played about it.
51-43, the Heat have the lead. Paul will go to work. There you go. CP3 with a jump shot, his first point since
the whole idea is to get this into single figures by the time you start the 4th quarter.
Paul fires, scores. He may need to really be aggressive. Chris Paul. Chris works on him, shoots over him, and scores.
So in other words, there's greater.
They improved their bench. When you can go off your bench and bring in a Chris Kaman, who's a legitimate starting 5 in this league.
They upgraded it today by signing Dante Jones to a 10-day contract. Jones, an excellent defensive player. Paul gets knocked down and hits the jumper. 5-point Clipper lead. Paul sets and connects. Not have been the right fit.
And I like that he's honest. He said, hey, it could have been my fault. He knows.
Chris Paul.
Do this. When a ball goes out of bounds on a turnover, they try to turn it into a live ball turnover. They get the ball back and they push it quick, and they're only 5 seconds off the shot. And as you see, the Clippers have 1 timeout remaining as well. LeBron has decided it will be a full timeout. So we'll step out here.
8-6 Suns, 6:38 to go in the first. Paul lets it fly, nothing but net. Averaging, DeAndre Jordan averaging 13.4. Leading the league in rebounding. Chris Paul.
Yeah, the Suns have had some good shots at that arc.
And Paul, who just makes it look like a layup.
It must have felt good to see it go through, and he said, absolutely, I needed that.
Paul. That felt good too.
There's some of that carryover.
Goes to Crawford. They'd love to get something out of Jamal Crawford. On the run, he throws it in to break that 11-0. Paul swings it out to Crawford. A good look at the 3-ball. In and out. Oh, Jamal aching over that one. For the Mid-Clippers, 5:14 to go in the basketball game. Crawford can trim this to 5-3 at the foul line.
He went down with that ankle, and Rudy came on and kind of stole the spotlight. Now he's had to work his way back in, finding his confidence once again at Crypto. So they've got injuries all season long, and still, I guess, more to come.
Well, you also have to look out for New Orleans. The Pelicans, they're not out of it.
7. Paul dancing, jumper, sweep, right over the top of fade.
It's a tough play to defend. They did a double high pick and roll. you don't like that as a player. You don't want some guy to keep your hands on you. So Cantor says, get your hands off me. Look, see how the hands are still on him? Cantor's like, hey. And Cantor.
Very strong in that category.
13.
Yep. That's fifth fewest in the league for the Pels. Second fewest as he goes back inside. They weren't going to give it to him. And it didn't look like they should have. It'll be Chris Paul back-to-back on the runner. So Chris Paul with the bucket. He's got 16 with 6 assists and 7. It'll be DeAndre Jordan sagging it. What a break for the Clippers. Loose with the ball. And will they get a deuce? Chris Paul. One of
Chris Paul again. That's what I think he has to do.
Look to convert in transition as much late as the teams do early, as Paul, he's just so good on the great tonight, and the bench performed very admirably.
Chris Paul now with 20 points after he nails.
Rolling down the lane, Paul gets in front of him, and look, that can happen. That can happen almost every play in the league. See Paul come right back.
Getting back to Love after the 1 for 7, and he took all 7 shots in the first quarters. Paul was able to hit with that baseline jumper.
Yeah, but you're losing games that probably you should not have lost.
Brooklyn at home the other night, the Nets are playing better. Chris Paul knocks it down, just his second basket.
Said, no, I'm 100%.
It's a 16-2 Raptor run. Paul, and a tough shot.
And now that's a staggering stat that you just mentioned. But also, that was their 10th 3 that they've made.
Chris Paul with the 2. Paul with 17 points. And you have to wonder, you look at their bench, are they going to have to make another move? Do they have enough? As Paul scores again, because if Jamal Crawford doesn't have a great.
Again with no Perkins.
They like his talent, Mike.
I really like his talent also.
Chris Paul shoots over Serge Ibaka.
Other mistakes that happen in a game.
6 to shoot. Paul on the pull-up throws McCary. Chris Paul then looks and stares at the OK.
Right. Even Dirk, who we think of as a great clutch player, shooting 37%, and that's one of the best shooting percentages in that particular situation.
Up against Jordan. You got to go hard if you're going to go.
Villanueva went in for Dirk in the timeout. Charlie B switched on to Chris Paul. Stare down jump shot is good for CP3.
He does that as well as anybody.
Or offensively.
Paul knocks it down. You think they're better defensive? You really need the All-Star break. I think you need some rest.
I don't.
Chris Paul.
Their names are not out there bigs in the Western Conference.
How about somebody from Dallas? As Chris Paul knocks it in. Oh.
So Chris Paul controls as we get started. Pulls up for the jumper. Yes.
With no Blake Griffin in the lineup.
Clipper starting 5.
Well, I would love to see how Doc is going to push the pace when they intentionally foul DeAndre Jordan.
Paul quickly to the front court. Paul on a fade. Yes.
They have to have more of that from Chris Paul. Timeout situation. That was such a quick 3 by Marco Bellinelli on the down screen. Do you run a different variant?
Caspi gets credit for the goal. Paul, fire, score.
In his wheelhouse. And a skilled center.
Paul, just great move for freedom.
That was a little 4 gaze late into the action.
Paul has it against Thompson. That means jump shot. That means basket.
He's doing a trend that's starting to happen here in this third quarter, Ralph, with all these free throws.
There's the Clippers counter without Chris. Paul keeps it alive. Gets it back.
Wide open.
Wow, you can't get any more open than that.
No, he was surprised.
And he likes to shoot when he's a big man on him.
Yes, he does. Kind of lulls him to sleep.
Fires the jumper and scores.
They're going to need a big game from Chris. And I don't mean 12 points and 15 assists. I mean a 24.
2 for 11.
Got him. Got him. And look at Chris. Got him on the ground before he started his shot or his elevation.
Chris Paul will glide to the elbow
good.
and not the elbow. He is something.
Well, they're going to need him. I mean,
third turnover of the game.
They're very good at protecting the ball, just like the Clippers are. About 12 a game.
Paul. Wow.
Yeah, wow is right. And the thing the Clippers are doing, like on that sequence, they gave him a pick, so he
down by 6. Paul fires.
Got to his spot.
81-77. Memphis.
Just throwing it to the first open man. And Prigioni stuck to 3.
A high-scoring first half as Chris Paul adds to the total.
You know, boys club, like 5th, 6th, 7th grade. If I am right, I think that's exactly who it is. And Mark, I lit his team up for 6 points.
Double of the season, tied at 54. Paul with the pull-up, got it. And the whistle in him, putting some good time in the D League, which he said really helped him. Paul left open and makes Houston pay.
You know what I love about the D League now? There's not a
Hawes, former Washington Husky, goes to work on Randolph. Shot clock down to 8. Hawes sets the screen, and Paul splashes a jumper. You know, Chris shooting, he's 5 of 9 tonight, and the Grizzlies up 4. Chris Paul.
It's tough to stop. You know, Mike.
TA guards Chris Paul. Jordan sets the screen. Paul makes from the baseline. Paul. Tough stop against Calabas and the make.
Who has such a unique style for today's up and down game.
Chris Paul knocks down his first shot.
A couple of options if you're the Bulls, but 4 to 6 weeks is what we're being told.
All right, Doris. 15 minutes as Paul knocks down the shot. Outpatient walk now.
And you see Jamal Crawford is just going to be overpowered in that matchup. And in the penalty, Jimmy Butler.
Redick was in the three-point shooting contest. This year? Yeah.
Oh, my fault. I was daydreaming there.
He was eliminated early as Paul knocks it down. Paul fakes, fires, and hits. 19 for Paul.
Putting the ball on the floor. First round.
Couple.
That's hard.
Not been to a conference final yet. That's certainly where he thinks his team is capable. Knocks down another. And Chris Paul now. We're midway through the fourth. 2-point game right now. Largest lead here in the fourth so far has just been 3. Paul again. 11.
Say the Western Conference. I mean, if you don't have a great point guard in the Western Conference, it's very difficult to win. When you think about all the great point guards between Curry and
Timberwolves have gone 6 minutes without a field goal. Yet still just a 5-point deficit. Chris Paul makes it. Chris Paul burning some clock, gets the screen from Jordan. Shot clock down to 4. Paul over KG.
Have to score to be effective, but when he does, I mean, with the abilities that Wesley Matthews has, Paul knocks down the J. I mean, you've got now a Flalo, a guy that can come off your bench and get you.
Averaging over 19 rebounds a game since Blake Griffin went down 10 games ago as Paul sinks another.
The problem in that situation, they're switching to pick and roll.
Thumb that very likely is going to need surgery in the offseason as Lillard bumps into Paul and sends him tumbling. 0 of 5 from the floor at 4 turnovers. Meanwhile, Chris Paul once again winning the matchup with Lillard. He is 5-1 against him. They are 4 of 20 on the game. Paul, he got it. Chris Paul, 24 points, 10 assists.
Trying to get J.J. Redick off of down screens.
Again, he gets space. Here's Paul separating from Lillard and hits. Lillard was working a Flalo. Here comes the screen from Jordan. Tall, you bet.
Mark Paul is the rebound. Here comes Paul pushing. Paul just playing at an incredible pace right now without Blake Griffin. He stepped up his scoring. Jordan already with 4 rebounds. Paul's jump shot is good.
You know, that's the problem. Guys that can do that, then they can windmill dunk, tomahawk dunk. That's a special play by a special talent.
Paul. Now it's off Hawes.
I like it. It's a foul. It didn't get called.
He's able to shoot the long ball, so it's going to be much better for the Thunder.
Chris Paul is shooting the ball at an unbelievably high rate. Under a minute to go in the first. Chris Paul with the pull-ups. Got it.
In that stretch?
No. All right. 89.
Why couldn't you put me next to somebody else's 5 game starting backcourt and only 14 by the Thunder? They got to find scoring.
Well, Chris Paul put the brakes on and didn't leave any change for about
8% of his shots this year have been inside of 10 feet.
Oh, he's doing things.
Chris Paul had 33 against the Thunder on Wednesday when the Clippers won by a
For this Maverick team.
Chris Paul pulls through against Rondo, floats it up and in.
Man, that dude is good.
Hesitates, he was open. Jordan had it stripped by Barea on the offensive rebound, but he tapped it out to Chris Paul, who hits a jumper.
And that was Doc Rivers was upset with Austin Rivers for helping off of Harden right there. As Chris Paul gets one to go. I mean, you don't come off of James Harden on dribble penetration.
I like that last breathing. DeAndre Jordan 0 for 4 at the line, but Griffin able to keep it alive on the back tap. Chris Paul hitting his second field goal. Perhaps Big Dave
ducked his head. You see how he ducked his head?
Beverly leveled by that Jordan screen, and Paul.
7-ball game. Charlotte on top. Paul.
See how he shot that better, and that's a good example.
Chris Paul.
And DeAndre Jordan set a great. Yeah, playing better, getting more minutes. That's the way it works.
Here's Chris Paul, and he connects.
Chris Paul, a lot like John Stockton, able to get by with a lot of things.
Yes.
You know, I mean, he's so crafty and smart, and of course, good.
Yeah, very good. And it's DeAndre Jordan. We're tied at 40 here in the second quarter. Here's Chris Paul. Stop, pops, and hits, and he has now scored 8 points.
Roll in the last few seconds.
Here's Paul. Oh boy, what a move that was! Wow.
He just simply lost everybody in the air.
And Paul now with 12 points. He's 6.
Rudy warming up, no doubt about it.
Yep, 4 of 10 now, and Rudy Gay, and now they got to stop Chris Paul, and that's not going to be easy, Jerry.
Take by Nick Stauskas, a little English reversed.
Here's Chris Paul.
Oh boy, Chris Paul.
22 for Paul.
In the zone defense here, making the Clippers do a few things different.
Here is Paul.
But Paul's doing the same things.
Knocked away by Griffin. Comes off to the Clippers.
That's why they allowed the contact. That ball was charged free first.
Free throw line jumper is good by CP3. Did I count somebody twice?
Well, there's been 11 changes. Yeah, it's maybe the same team twice.
Paul hits the jump shot.
The only Steph Curry's 26, Westbrook 26. So
Chris Paul open for the mid-range jumper.
He has taken his game to such a 7 shots in a row.
18 points, 10 assists for Chris Paul. 2 3 quarters. And 2 more.
See how he gave it a little life? The Clippers ever made in the season. J.J. Redick, 26 points in 33 minutes. What a game, what a season.
What's his record like? Paul posting up on Cole. Shot clock is down to 6. The jump shot's true.
Watch that same set next time.
These were forced turnovers, folks. Chris Paul. 4-point lead.
Sensing that the Pelicans are on their heat.
Tap, and Clippers get it. Good job by Blake Griffin. Paul uses the screen to freedom, fires and scores.
Beautiful screen, beautiful recognition.
Paul around the big pick by Jordan.
It was a big pick, too.
He'll fire and score.
Like a huge pick. Absolutely.
That's like an assist.
Demolished.
He went down. You expected them to call a timeout. Paul from the elbow, his favorite spot in the building.
You just got to keep getting to your favorite spots and get the ball to your...
It's like the front left tooth is gone. Paul.
How quickly is Chris Paul?
Low for the Lakers. That's right. The deal was rescinded by the league office. Paul puts it up over Larkin. That's his first field goal. He has 10 assists. He had 9 in the first quarter. Yeah. Paul with the steal.
He's just telegraphing their passes.
Paul on the turnaround jump. Second field goal today. They will play 2 games against the Charlotte Hornets next October. Here's Paul, Chris Paul.
Arguably the best point guard in the league, and they're setting multiple picks trying to free him up. Chris Paul. I mean,
Chris Paul, he could just hide behind a big guy and drive you crazy.
I mean, if the guards are going to continue to dance like that, I mean.
Paul takes it, makes it.
They're taking outside shots, so nobody's even near the rim.
Killer crossover move by Paul there, who nails the jump shot.
Next down the free throw, and it's a 13-point Clipper lead now. Griffin drives into the lane. Lob City for DeAndre, but it's off. The rebound comes right back to Paul, who sends it right back up and in. Lights out. The Warriors take their first lead of the ball game at 72-71. Paul off the screen hesitated when he went into the air, but made an adjustment.
38%, and we're only down 7. Yeah. Chris Paul crosses up on Blake and then gets the kind roll.
Chris, right now,
he got that out of the ashtray out of his car.
They have the salaries on this club, $81 million. So they're paying some money for this. You know, sometimes he shoots, sometimes he passes.
And Batum's on him now. Yeah. Doesn't seem to matter. Chris Paul starting the 3, didn't take it.
And that's the guy to help off. I think you can help off Rivers a little bit more than you can Turkoglu.
They help off of Chris Paul that time, and he finds himself losses. But Wesley Matthews in these situations with the quick hands, so good at stripping players away. We've seen him do it time and time again. And Chris Paul.
48-35, 13-point lead. Chris Paul right back at you.
They're trying to set a screen and does. They switch on D. There's Griffin and Paul. Just what we were talking about. They're showing us out of halftime the way those two work so well.
Losing concentration, losing focus of this game right now. They're exchanging baskets back and forth. It goes from 7 to 9, 9 to 7. Chris Paul comes out.
Ralph, like he didn't commit to it early.
CP3, mid-range jumper.
Assist Griffin. And what I mean by Deion.
Paul works around the screen by Jordan. Goes to the other elbow.
What it does, Chris doesn't have to bring the ball up.
Charge here. Into Paul.
And they're very content to have it right there.
In and out and in again. That's why. Griffin in the paint.
Wide open.
Not just
like
a
layup. But when they attack that quickly.
And we shall see. Time for the CarMax Smart Choice. You never have to haggle at CarMax. See if you want to haggle about this.
All right.
Okay, DeAndre Jordan will win defensive play.
2, Denver on top, 40 seconds remaining.
Mismatch for CP. This is right in his wheelhouse. Hello.
Beautiful step back and score.
Hello.
Rebounding at 15. Number 4 in block shots.
Paul. Morris on the defensive switch, and Chris knocks it down again.
That was dominated, and it has been all season by the San Antonio Spurs, but they're only a -4, the Clippers are, in this game, so they're doing a good job.
But they were so huge last year in the championship drive by San Antonio.
It's because of the shot making.
Paul, he's making shots. He's got 21. Double, 26 and 12. And Paul into Parker. Stopping on a dime.
They're a different team. They are a different team.
Ball, 2 on 3. Paul and Barnes, and on the wing they had Reddick. Chris Paul. Main shot. Chris Paul's taking one shot and hit it. Here's his second offense. He's 2-2. 9-0 run by the Spurs. Under 4 to go. Chris Paul.
Too good. You're going to have to make
under 6 to play in the third. The accelerating Paul stopping on a dime.
How about Duncan? Barnes on Duncan. Leonard, another 3. Timeout, LA. Splitter is on Griffin. Parker on Paul. Paul, pull-up jumper. Boris Diaw, 3rd straight game Doing some good things for San Antonio. Another mid-range jumper for Chris Paul for 5 from downtown. Paul, the crossover, pulls up, puts it in. Chris Paul gives the Clippers an 11-point lead. Field, a bench that has struggled mightily at times this season for LA. Paul again putting on the finishing touches of
Leonard in, Diao, Bellinelli, Duncan and Parker, the San Antonio 5. This is Paul, and Chris Paul is at his first shot. Paul.
Well, they're switching that high screen and roll now. Either they're going to switch it or rotate to Blake Griffin. They've decided to switch it.
For San Antonio, Paul picked up by the taller splitter. This to break the tie, and it does, and Paul and
I'm in the right position here going into this fourth quarter.
Spurs a foul to give. Paul hits again. Chris, he's only though 3 of 9. He's missed some of those, but he has gotten inside for clean looks. Paul pushing off and puts it down.
Oh, yes, he does. And so athletic. Probably the most athletic big man we've seen in this game for a long time.
Paul with a good fake. And Chris Paul his hit. He has 4 hits in game 6 and only 1 in game 5. Paul with Leonard right there. What a defense. What a shot! Paul to Griffin. Clippers have made 4 in a row. Mills defending. CP3. Chris Paul has been to Green on Paul. And he got it!
Behind him. He's got to play him on the top side or on the side. The big thing right now is you can't stay behind him.
Chris Paul landing on that left leg.
The tempo that the Clippers are playing at. They're really running back hard at Houston and getting good percentage shots.
Chris Paul feeling good. The networks on Saturday. Howard split both of these free throws. Paul with a stop and score.
But I like the
Phoenix. Here they are again tonight. They close out the series with the win. It's Paul, and Priest will defend, and Chris Paul will knock it in. 49%. Averaging a little over 10 points a game. Screen by Jordan. Here comes Paul. Knocks down another Chris Paul.
And didn't look at the score in this first quarter.
Clippers by 15.
Yeah, and it's only 4 right here. Chris Paul from the elbow. Set everybody up on the floor. Davis couldn't finish, and he got the rebound, Chris Paul did. And teed up Crawford, who still can't hit. But Chris Paul couldn't do more. And takes it away. He might just have to score it himself.
There you go.
Paul on the move over Terry. Got knocked down and knocked it down. Stacked it. Paul drives at Harden, takes the bump. Got the basket, too. Was battling the flu a couple of days ago. Paul got it. And the Rockets are in trouble.
Offensively, giving up open shots, passing the basketball around. This is where your best player is, like Chris Paul. You got to make plays. Take the pressure off other guys. Paul brings it in the front court.
Hard screen set by Jordan. Paul's jump shot. He is shooting, having a 30. He's 4 of 6, 8 first half points for Terrence Jones. Chris Paul. Paul now with 8 points as well.
As a coach than you do as a player.
Here's some of one of the greats to play the game. The best power forwards of all time is Kevin McHale.
Paul jump shot.